Right friends, welcome back to LearningSpace. This is the Union Budget 2020 to 23. We are presenting in three parts. The first part is an overview of Union Budget. The second part we are going to discuss salient features of Union Budget. In the third part, we would like to have critical appraisal. Please don't forget, we are producing 8 modules for economic survey. 2 have already been produced. Please do watch all 8 modules of economic survey and 3 modules of union budget, total 11 modules, because by watching all these 11 modules, you get lot many insights into Indian economy. Otherwise, it is not possible to get these many insights. Before going ahead, a small announcement. For several years, several students are asking for separating the platform exclusively for current affairs and editorial discussions. Whatever the exam you are preparing for, it may be banking, it may be staff selection commission, it may be UPSC, it may be state civil service. These essential knowledge is inevitable for any student, any graduate. So therefore, from February 3rd onwards, we are launching a separate exclusive channel for current affairs and editorial discussions. That will benefit immensely. Whatever is your goal, it doesn't matter. But this is essential for the students to acquire. Please patronage, please support the initiative of LearningSpace. We are meant for high quality education. Right friends, let us move on to the union budget. Before looking at these things, let me talk about 2 points as far as union budget is concerned. What is the strong praise? What is the strong criticism? If I explain these 2 things, it will be crystal clear to you to follow whatever we are discussing as we go forward. What is the strongest praise? That is with regard to increasing the capital expenditure of the government. The capital expenditure of the government is increased substantially. What is capital expenditure? The capital expenditure is nothing but creating expressways, creating ports, creating high quality railway systems, logistics development, multimodal ports. All this comes under the capital expenditure, and this is for the infrastructure development. Look at China. It developed huge infrastructure in 1980s, 1990s. Subsequently, the foreign investment has taken off to very high levels in China. So for the foreign investment, for the foreign investors to give trust on any country, robust infrastructure is essential. Now government is trying by increasing the capital expenditure. There are 2 important aspects behind it. First is, when the government increases the capital expenditure through infrastructure development, it crowds in private investment. Private investment that will follow subsequently. Not only that, because of the creation of the infrastructure, jobs will be created. Automatically, it will become a solution for unemployment as we go forward. The results may not be in 1 year, but as we go forward, it benefits the next generation. Suppose if the infrastructure is developed to world class, our future generations will be benefited. So therefore, the logic of any union budget is reducing the revenue expenditure. Revenue expenditure means subsidies, salaries, all these things for day-to-day expenditure. In your family also, when you purchase some house, when you purchase some land, these are all capital assets that gives some sort of confidence to the next generation. Similarly, in the government also, capital expenditure is inevitable. So government has made a bold attempt to increase the capital expenditure by controlling the revenue expenditure. This is the biggest prize for the union budget. What is strong criticism? There is also equally strong criticism. Though the government is attempting capital expenditure, but it takes time to get the benefits. 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years. But at present, because of COVID-19, certain sections of society are suffering. You see, the private final consumption expenditure, we have already seen in the economic survey, the GDP is calculated in two ways. And the second way is expenditure method. When you look at expenditure method, private final consumption expenditure that was 60% prior to COVID came down to 57.5% now. That means there is problem with several people to purchase the things. They are not able to go for consumption expenditure. That means people's incomes were affected. So government has not taken any steps to ameliorate this. So that is the basic criticism against the union budget. And some people expected cash transfers because India is still suffering with the demand crisis. Not only that, people are talking about K-shaped recovery. Certain sections like MSMEs and certain classes of people, they lost their jobs, they lost their incomes because of COVID-19. So not direct stimulus in this budget. That is criticized. In fact, for several social sectors, there is not much increase. At the same time, for some of the sectors, there is reduction. If you look at Mahatma Gandhi Narega, in comparison to the revised estimate of 2021-22, there is a reduction of around 20-25%. Healthcare also, people say it is a big opportunity to create the robust public health infrastructure. But the government has not looked at from that perspective. Though the infrastructure mission, healthcare infrastructure mission, Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, like that, there are number of programs. But critics say, by taking this as an opportunity, government could have unveiled a bold vision to develop the public infrastructure in the healthcare sector. So this is the major criticism. Not much increase for several sectors. There is in fact reduction in some of the sectors. That is the major criticism as far as union budget is concerned. Right, friends, one important thing is government is betting on the capital expenditure. Once the infrastructure is ready, then automatically private sector will take over. It facilitates, it becomes the bedding ground for the private sector to flourish. That is the government viewpoint, what you call virtuous cycle of growth. Once the government spends in the capital expenditure, private sector will crowd in, and after that, it will be launch pad for further private sector investments. It will create jobs. So that is the virtuous cycle of growth. That is opposite to vicious cycle of growth. So government is focusing on trust-based governance and virtuous cycle of growth. That is the important aspect in this union budget. Right, friends? PM Gati Shakti in the second module. I am going to discuss threadbare. What are the aspects of PM Gati Shakti? What are the aspects pertaining to inclusive development? What are the aspects pertaining to this productivity enhancement and financing of investments? All these four I am going to discuss separately in the second module. Please to watch all three modules. I would like to give complete comprehensive view about union budget. Right, friends, before going ahead, what is mandatory as per Indian Constitution? As per Indian Constitution, these three are mandatory. I have mentioned the articles also. Budget is not mentioned in Indian Constitution. It says annual financial statement. That is under Article 112. Revenue account must be separated from other accounts, say capital. That is one important requirement as far as Constitution is concerned. At the same time, the accounts must be presented separately for the Consolidated Fund of India, Contingency Fund of India, public account. And even in the Consolidated Fund of India, there is separate for voted and charged. I need not explain charged. because that cannot be put to voting. Say the expenses of legislatures, the expenses of president, like that. There are certain lists given which comes under the charged expenditure, and judges are also included in that. But as far as annual financial statements are concerned, annual financial statement is nothing but revenue on one side, expenditure on the other side. And at the same time, the revenue expenditure, capital expenditure, that must be shown separately. At the same time, Consolidated Fund of India, Contingency Fund of India, and public account, that must be shown separately. This is mandatory. And demands for grants, how much money each department or ministry is required for the expenditure, that is also as per Indian Constitution. And finance bill, that is money bill. And this finance bill is in fact as per how many tax proposals are there, how the taxes are going to be increased, reduced, all these things are reflected in the finance bill. These three are as per Constitution. These two are as per FRBM Act. So these two are statutorily mandated. These three are constitutionally mandated. These remaining things what you see in the union budget, these are all, you can say, explanatory memorandums to explain these things. I hope you got clarity. What is constitutionally mandated, what is mandated as per statutorily, and what are explanatory memorandums. Another important thing is output outcome monitoring framework. This is for outputs and outcomes for various central sector schemes, centrally sponsored schemes. You are spending a lot. What are the outcomes? This is known as outcome budget. This is prepared by the respective ministries in consultation with Niti Aayog. And as far as union budget is concerned, the Department of Economic Affairs comes into picture as far as Ministry of Finance is concerned. I hope you got clarity about all these things. Now let us look at how to remember these things. Friends, what is the total quantum of budget 2022-23? It is, in a layman's language, 39.5 lakh crores of rupees. I am just giving the rough figures. 39.5 lakh crores of rupees, out of which around 23 lakh crores is generated internally, and around 16.5, that is through borrowings. I hope you got clarity. Total size is 39.5, out of which 23, that is either through revenue receipts or non-debt creating capital receipts. Capital receipts are two types. Debt creating, if you borrow money from the market, that is a debt creating. And the second one is non-debt creating capital receipts. What is it? Suppose part of Life Insurance Corporation of India is sold. Whatever government gets, that is non-debt capital receipt. Suppose some public sector enterprise declares some dividend. That is different. That comes under non-tax revenue. Remember carefully, some public sector undertaking NTPC is there. 5% stake is sold. That means we are selling some part of the ownership. Then whatever money government gets, that is disinvestment, or you can say non-debt capital receipt, that comes under capital receipts. But if NTPC declares a dividend, that comes under non-tax revenue. Please understand this difference, right? So revenue receipts 22 lakh crores, and this non-debt capital receipts. Non-debt capital receipts are less than 1 lakh crore. Total becomes 23 lakh crores is our generation of money. That money is not sufficient. We have to go for borrowings. Borrowings can be from the market borrowings, like issue of government securities, or the national small savings fund. Government can borrow money from national small savings fund. So these type of borrowings are known as entirely around 16.5 lakh crores. I hope the picture is crystal clear to you. This 22 is the revenue receipts. 1 lakh crore, less than 1 lakh crore is non-debt capital receipts. Debt capital receipts are, you can say, borrowings. When you are borrowing, it is nothing but debt. That is 16.5. So 23, 16.5 becomes 39.5. You see, 39 lakh 44,000. Fiscal deficit, it is nothing but borrowings. I told you 16.5. So that becomes 6.4% of GDP. In the present year, that is 2021-22, it is a 6.9%. Now it is 6.4%. The finance minister said we will bring it down to 4.5% by 2025-26. That point also please don't forget. Revenue deficit, there is huge revenue deficit. That means your revenue receipts are not sufficient for revenue expenditure. Ideally, this revenue deficit should be zero. Whatever money you are borrowing, that must be spent for capital acquisitions, capital assets, infrastructure, highway construction. But ideally, it doesn't take place. Now, the government is trying to limit revenue expenditure, trying to increase the capital expenditure. But ideally speaking, they should be zero. Then, effective revenue deficit. That means this is less than revenue deficit because of the reason central government is giving some money to state governments and state governments create some capital assets, because whatever center is giving, part of it will be for the creation of capital assets. So therefore, if you account for it, this is effective revenue deficit. Primary deficit, that is fiscal deficit minus interest payments. So this is 2.8% of GDP. Let us have a glance at tax revenue receipts and capital receipts. Please don't forget, whatever government is getting, revenue receipts, that means the taxes, revenue receipts. Revenue receipts include taxes and non-taxes. I will come to that in the next slide. Revenue receipts classified into tax revenue, non-tax revenue. Capital receipts are classified into non-debt creating, debt creating. So if you understand this, it becomes very easy. Friends, if you look at the tax revenue, sometimes from your examination perspective, certain things are very, very important. Which is the highest component? GST is the highest component. It constitutes around 16% or so. Then corporation tax, around 15% or so. Taxes on income, around 15% or so. So remember, as far as the tax revenue receipts are concerned, GST is the highest component. Then corporation tax is second, taxes on income is third. There is not much difference between these two. They are very close. In fact, all three are hovering between 7 lakh crores to 8 lakh crores. 7.8 lakh crores is GST. 7.2 lakh crores is corporation tax. That means tax on the corporate entities. Taxes on income, personal income tax. That is 7 lakh crores. Then union excise duties. Friends, in spite of subsuming several taxes under GST, how union excise duties are very high. Union excise duties are around 3 lakh crores of rupees, primarily because of taxes on petroleum products, petrol, diesel and all, right? And most of it is imposed in the form of cess. So therefore, the central government is not required to share. That is another important point, right? And total gross tax revenue, this is customs duty. Whatever imports are there, that is customs duty. So all put together, it comes to 27.57, right? So this is gross tax revenue to the center, out of which states share, as far as 15th Finance Commission is concerned, it is around 41% or so. cess and surcharge, they are not required to be shared with the states. And collection charges, whatever center spends on collection charges, that is not required to be shared with the states. Leave collection charges, leave cess, leave surcharge. After that, whatever is left over, out of which, that means out of this gross tax revenue of 27.5 lakh crores, you have to leave collection charges, you have to leave the cess, you have to leave surcharge. After that, 41% go to the states, and that becomes 8 lakh crore. So 8 lakh crore goes to the states, and after that, center's net tax revenue will be around 19.5 lakh crores of rupees. This is center's net tax revenue. This component talks about non-tax revenue. What are the various components of non-tax revenue? Dividends and profits. Here you see Reserve Bank of India transfers the surplus, that comes under this. Public sector undertakings declare dividends, that comes under this. So this is one major component of non-tax revenue. And this is other non-tax revenue. Other non-tax revenue can be in the form of spectrum. Suppose spectrum auction is there, that comes under other non-tax revenue. So therefore, like that, there are various components. So overall, if you see, non-tax revenue is around 2.5 to 3 lakh crores of rupees. That is around 2.7 lakh crores. This is not required to be shared with the states. Only whatever I explained here, that is as per 15th Finance Commission, it is required to be shared with the states. This is not required to be shared with the states. So this is tax revenue, this is non-tax revenue. If you add both, it comes to 22 lakh crores of rupees. We have already talked about this, 22 lakh crores of rupees. This 22 is the tax and non-tax revenue, that is totally coming to the center after setting off for the state's share. So this 22 lakh crores, this is one aspect. And then let us look at capital receipts. I already talked about, just like revenue receipts. In revenue receipts, tax revenue, non-tax revenue. Similarly, in the capital receipts, non-debt capital receipts, debt capital receipts. So non-debt capital receipts, these are examples. Disinvestment receipts. That means if part of the public sector undertaking or full public sector undertaking, if it is sold, whatever money is coming, that is deposited into the disinvestment proceeds. Recently, Air India was sold to Tata Group, and whatever Tata Group deposits, that comes under disinvestment receipts, because we are selling the land, we are selling the house, that is non-debt capital receipt. If you are getting house rent every month 7,000 rupees or something like that, that is different. That cannot be counted under this non-debt capital receipts. Capital is basically when you are selling something, whatever you get, that is capital, right? And here debt receipts, this is nothing but borrowings. I already talked about. So this is less than 1 lakh crore, I told you. This is 22. So therefore 22 plus 1, which makes 23. This is 16.5. So 23 and 16.5, which makes 39.5. So this 39.5 expenditure, total receipts, so matches. So when I talk about total receipts, that includes borrowings also. That is important point, don't forget. Right friends, in this module, before concluding this module, I would like to talk about certain important trends. As I already told you in the second module, I would like to talk about various aspects of union budget threadbare, and in this module I would like to concentrate on what are various trends. This fiscal deficit, what government said is by 2025-26 it will bring it down to 4.5%. You see, previously it was on the glide path. In fact, after reaching around 3.4%, because at that point of time prior to COVID, the goal was to reach 3%. But because of COVID-19, this everything has gone haywire. So it was 9.2%. and subsequently, as far as budget estimate is concerned, it was programmed 6.8, but ultimately it came down to 6.9% in 2021-22, and 22-23 it is planned 6.4%. So friends, fiscal deficit in the current financial year, that is 2021-22, is 6.9%. 2022-23 it is programmed 6.4%. so this trend is important, and government said by 2025-26 it will bring it down to 4.5%. Friends, another important doubt is, I already talked about government borrowings are around 16.5 lakh crores of rupees. How the government mobilizes it? Look at this line. This line talks about market borrowings. Quite often you come across in the newspapers, government issues treasury bills, government issues government securities, that is to borrow money from the market, and that way it will borrow around 11 lakh crores or so. You see here, it is around 11 lakh crores or so. So around 11 lakh crores or so that will be borrowed from the market borrowings. What about remaining? Remaining means securities against small savings. You see this line, securities against small savings, you have to go this side. It is more than 4 lakh crores of rupees. That means the central government from the market borrowings, it borrows around 11 lakh crores, and from the securities against small savings. What is the meaning of this? Securities against small savings means we go to the post office, we deposit some money in the post office, and that goes to small savings. So small savings is separately maintained as public account because it is not government money, it is our money, and we get more interest in comparison to fixed deposits. So here the central government is using access to this small savings fund to bridge the fiscal deficit. Why the center is doing this and what are its repercussions? Center is basically borrowing this 4 to 5 lakh crores of rupees from this small savings, or you can say sources of financing fiscal deficit other than market borrowings. The basic reason is this way the government wants to reduce the pressure on the markets, because if the central government borrows all 16.5 lakh crores of rupees from the market, the money available for the private sector, that will reduce. Because of that, interest rates will increase. You see, central government is the safest. So when the central government borrows from the market, the banks, financial institutions, they give it to the central government even though the interest rate is less. Because of that, what happens? The money available in the market, that will reduce. Because of that, what happens? Private sector may find it difficult for borrowings. So because of that precise reason, what the center does is, they do this around 11 lakh crores or so from the market borrowings and around 4 to 5 lakh crores or so from the small savings fund. But what is the underside of it? When the government is borrowing from the market, their interest rate is less. When it is borrowing from small savings fund, interest rate is high. Why? Because government is paying more interest for us. When you go to the post office and when you invest in some sort of senior citizens saving fund or some sort of Sukanya Suraksha Yojana, then they pay high interest to us. So therefore, government interest burden will increase. But that may not be disadvantageous because the same amount of money will be available to the private sector in the market. Because of that reason, government goes balanced way, partly from market borrowings and partly from the small savings fund. I hope you got clarity. And look at the next one, trend in tax receipts for the center. Friends, at one point of time, 2016-17, 2017-18, around 11.2% of GDP was the tax receipts for the center. Now you see They are 10.8, 10.7. In fact, in between, that is came down to around 9.9% also in 2019-20. So therefore, two important things students should not forget. One is the tax receipts as percentage of GDP. They are not showing increase. In fact, they have shown decline from the nearby highest during the previous decade. So this is one significant development one should not miss. This is of course negative, it is not positive, but this is significant marker. We are not able to reach the increase in tax to GDP. Tax to GDP for the center is around 10 to 11%. If you add states also, it is around 17% or so. That means center plus states put together, it is around 17% of GDP. Friends, this is very less in comparison to other emerging economies. So something needs to be done to increase tax as percentage of GDP. This is almost stagnant you are seeing for the past decade. Similarly, manufacturing is almost stagnant since economic reforms of 1991. These two aspects which India has to do something as we go forward. One is manufacturing as a percentage of GDP. Its share is not increasing even after 30 years of economic reforms. Because of that, what is happening is the persons migrating from agriculture, they are settling down in very low paid services jobs in the urban areas and they are living in the slums. That is the underside of India's economic development. And the second most important thing is we are not able to raise tax receipts as percentage of GDP. This is the second important thing which India missed during the previous decades. Look at the next one, net receipts of the center. In fact, I already explained this. Center's tax revenue, you see, this is around 19.3. Non-tax revenue, that is 2.7. These two put together, it is becoming 22. I have already explained. This is less than 1. I have already explained. So 23, these are the receipts. 16.5 is the borrowings. I told you number of times this. But one important thing, very, very important. In 21-22, as per budget estimates, the government planned there's a tax revenue of 15.5 lakh crores. Last year budget I am talking about. But government got good revenue. It exceeded the government expectations. Now over that government planned further. So therefore you can say in 21-22 government tax collections are more than the expectations. This is one good positive thing in spite of COVID-19 effect. Friends, this is much talked about across the country during the past 24 hours after the presentation of the budget. Government gross budgetary support to this capital expenditure. Capital expenditure I already talked about. That is infrastructure creation, whether it is highways, whether it is roadways, whether it is railways, whether it is ports, whether it is social infrastructure, it doesn't matter. Whether it is communication infrastructure, whether it is energy infrastructure, it doesn't matter. Government supporting the capital expenditure. This is one positive thing as far as union budget is concerned. And grant in aid for the creation of capital assets. This is given to the states. So you see, even the grant in aid to the states, this is also increased, and government's budgetary support to the capital expenditure, that has seen significant increase. So this is praised across all the quarters, because if you construct assets, the next generations, future generations will be benefited. And if you look further, trend of major items of expenditure, here you see this is somewhat critics pointed out. In spite of the pandemic, there is not much increase in the healthcare infrastructure. Here you see, this is originally planned in 2021 budget. And if you see further, this social welfare, this is a revised budget was 48,000, now planned 51. Of course, for transport, because of infrastructure, there is a huge improvement is there. Rural development, you see, in fact, in comparison to the original budget estimate, now it is reduced. So therefore such type of things are pointed out by the critics. This is praised across all quarters because virtuous cycle of growth, and this is critically commented. Mahatma Gandhi Narega has also seen decline in comparison to the revised estimate. So because of these things, this budget came under criticism. Composition of transfers to states and UTs. Devolution, we have already seen. This is as per 15th Finance Commission. And other schemes related and other transfers. Centrally sponsored schemes, all of you are familiar, where states and center share the expenditure. Then Finance Commission grants are there. These grants are given by the Finance Commission, and that's all. And look at the budget profile. I already talked about these things. Gross tax revenue is this much, GST is 7.8, taxes on income 7, then corporation tax 7.2, and after the state share, net tax receipts are 19.35, non-tax revenue is 2.7. If you add these two, you will end up with 22, and here debt receipts, that is borrowings, 16.5, and one is non-debt capital receipts, budget size is 39.5. And after that, central sector schemes is taking this much. Please have a glance at. And at the same time, centrally sponsored schemes are taking this much, out of which core of the core schemes like Mahatma Gandhi Narega are taking this much. So friends, this you can spend few more minutes. Now, if you have a glance at how rupee comes from, borrowings and other liabilities is major. We have already seen, because government borrowings are total 16.5 lakh crores of rupees, and GST 16%, we already talked about, corporation tax 15%, income tax 15%. So this is how the government gets rupee, and this is all considering before the state's share. That means state's share is also included in this, how rupee comes. How rupee goes? Here you see everything is mentioned here. Finance Commission and other transfers, state's share of taxes and duties 17%, central sector schemes is 15%, centrally sponsored schemes is 9%, interest payments, this is one important thing, don't forget. So 20% is going for interest payments. So therefore, whenever you are borrowing, put it on the capital expenditure. Then it will provide results in the future. It will benefit the future generations. Right friends, this is all about first part of Union Budget. Please do join for second part. We are going to discuss salient features, third part critical appraisal. All 3 and 8 modules of the economic survey makes you perfect in learning so many insights into what is happening in the Indian economy. Have a nice day. Thank you.